Content warning. This story contains graphic details of violence. Listener discretion is advised. Have you ever wondered how a serene commute could suddenly spiral into a scene of unimaginable horror? On March 20th, 1995, Tokyo's subway system became the unsuspecting stage for one of the deadliest terrorist attacks in Japanese history, an attack orchestrated by the Aum Shinrikyo cult. Our story begins with Shoko Asahara, the enigmatic leader of Aum Shinrikyo. Originally founded as a spiritual group merging Indian mysticism with Buddhist teachings, Aum Shinrikyo gradually mutated into a Doomsday cult that envisioned an apocalyptic war. Asahara, convinced of his divine mission, cultivated a following convinced that Armageddon was imminent. His disciples were ready to go to any lengths to fulfill his vision. According to court documents and survivor testimonies, Asahara believed that instigating chaos would quicken this end-of-days scenario. His chosen tool for this cataclysm? A deadly nerve agent, Sarin. On that fateful morning in March, 5 cult members boarded different lines of the Tokyo subway system, each carrying packages wrapped in newspapers. Inside these seemingly innocuous packages were containers filled with liquid sarin, meticulously prepared in Aum Shinrikyo's clandestine laboratories. At precisely 8 a.m., timed to coincide with the rush hour, the attackers pierced these containers with the sharpened tips of their umbrellas, silently releasing the lethal gas into crowded trains. Within moments, passengers began to collapse, their bodies racked by uncontrollable convulsions. Chaos unfurled as the colorless, odorless gas dispersed. Imagine you're standing there in a dim subway tunnel. One moment, the usual hum of the morning commute. The next, agonizing screams and the sickening scent of vomit. People stumbled, blinded and choking, while others lay motionless on the floor, eyes wide in shock. An eyewitness recounted, "I saw a man clutching his chest, gasping for air like he was drowning." Emergency services were overwhelmed. Hospitals across Tokyo were inundated with more than 5,500 affected individuals. Some would never recover. 13 people lost their lives that day. As the dust settled, the nation struggled to comprehend the atrocity that had unfolded. Who were these attackers? What twisted ideology drove their heinous act? It wasn't long before authorities traced the attack back to Aum Shinrikyo. In the following days and weeks, police raided the cult's compounds. They discovered not only stockpiles of sarin, but also other chemical weapons and an array of bizarre religious texts penned by Asahara. One chilling quote stood out. "When an enemy tries to destroy you, it is permissible to destroy the enemy." Japan, a nation famed for its safety and tranquility, found itself grappling with fear and anger. Vigils were held in honor of the victims, and a collective quest for justice commenced. Aum Shinrikyo's leadership, including Asahara, was swiftly apprehended. In highly publicized trials, the prosecution detailed the cult's meticulous planning and remorseless execution of the attack. Asahara, unrepentant, sat with an eerie calm as the evidence stacked against him. Convicted of masterminding the attack, Asahara and several of his closest aides received death sentences. Scenes from the courtroom painted a picture of unyielding stoicism from the convicted and palpable relief from the victims' families. The aftermath of the Tokyo subway attack left an indelible scar on the Japanese psyche. Stricter security and surveillance measures were introduced, and extensive decontamination procedures were mandated for public spaces. The incident also sparked global discussions about the threat of chemical warfare and terrorism, propelling governments worldwide to reassess their preparedness for similar attacks. 28 years later, Japan remembers March 20th not just as a day of horror, but as a poignant reminder of vulnerability and resilience. Survivors and their families continue to tell their stories, their voices resonating with pain and a plea for vigilance. Never forget, always be prepared. Thanks for listening. If you found this story gripping, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below telling us what aspect of the story shocked you the most, or suggest a story you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, keep your ears sharp and your imagination wilder than the wilderness itself.